Welcome, everyone, to an amazing universal experience. We are in day 29. Unbelievable. 29 days out of 30. Tomorrow is our closing ceremony for the universal experience. This has been an incredible month long experience with joy and passion, a partnership with the Virtual World Society and Educators in VR. We've brought, I see now I can change the tense on it. We've brought together experts and innovators from around the world here and across 20 different VR platforms and apps to talk to you about how we're using immersive education to disrupt education and immersive technology to disrupt education. And we've had every single topic you can imagine, from medical and healthcare to teachers understanding how to talk to the staff and to the administration to bring XR technology into the classroom, to arguing, oh, it was a beautiful thing about the ethics and the moral values and things about VR and AR and XR that was by the Virtual World Society's team. Amazing things. We visited worlds that will just have blown your mind and will continue to do so. They are permanent worlds, so get ready for more of that. Before we begin with this incredible special event with the Virtual World Society to talk about their HomeSpark project as well as everything else that they are doing and how you can become involved, we want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors who made this possible. HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Education are our Infinity sponsors. They're amazing. They released the HP Reverb G2 last fall, and it's available here in ALTSPACE. It does require a computer. It's a tethered headset. They also have a brand new version called the Omnicip, which has pulse and eye monitoring and tracking and other testing things with precision controls, just up in the game as they always do. They have given to us 8 HP Reverb 2 G2 headsets, okay? Reverb G2 headsets. We're giving away 2 in Engage, the VR platform, in just a couple hours. So check our calendar for the events there. There's going to be a hunt going on to find it. And then and do check out our website with instructions on how to join our Discord and post images from the Univirtual, tell stories and things like that to get your name into our Univirtual channel list. And we will be randomly selecting a name tomorrow. Serge, if you could take a seat, that would be lovely. Thank you. Yep. And so make sure that you get into our Discord and you upload those pictures and you put in the stuff, and Daniel's going to hit his mute button. And then we're going to randomly choose. So the more you put your name in, so to speak, the more you submit, the more your name's up there, the greater your chances to win an HP Reverb G2. All right. We'll thank the rest of our sponsors later. I just want to thank Donna McTaggart of Let's Meet in VR, the VR manager and director for educators in VR and the Univirtual experience, and Tony Cube Studios for their generosity of spirit in assisting with the video and the live streaming efforts for educators in VR and the Univirtual experience. Please, again, if you see the drone, we're going to ignore it. Okay? Tom Furness, one of the greatest. I mean, he's going to tell you his story, but I'm not going to do a big intro. Most of you should know who he is. I just want to let you know, all of you who are sitting in VR headsets right now, you would not be here without this man. His innovations, his advancements, the risks that he took, the courage that he had to make this happen is why we have the devices we do today. And even more than that, when he saw that what was happening with it being used for not so good in the military, he made a huge career decision, a huge risk to leave that and go work on XR and immersive technologies for good. And that led him to create the Virtual World Society. And we are here to learn from the master. So, Monsieur Tom Furness, all yours.
Thank you, Laurel. You're wonderful, as always. Thanks everyone for coming, and especially we wanted to save this to sort of the last day of the Universal Conference so that we can tell you where we go from here, and especially with our partners, educators in VR, and what a wonderful relationship we have, and being able to to work on this conference together. We have to say certainly that the most of the work has been done by the educators in VR, but we were happy that we could tag along and be a partner in all of this. Thanks so much. Okay, so what this is all about is the Virtual World Society, and especially we want to unveil today one of the our flagship project that we would like for all of you to be involved in helping us to execute. Now, I want to recognize in the audience, we have one of the members of our board of directors, Daniel Dubosky Bryant, who's also one of the founders of the Educators in VR. Daniel is in the Hawaiian shirt. You can't miss him. And then we also have Caitlin Krause. Caitlin is our director of community and business development in the Virtual World Society, and also is a hero of mine, and with some of our, especially with some of our publications, the last one being Designing Wonder. And if you haven't seen that before, please do. It's amazing. So
Thanks,
I
Tom.
wanted you're welcome, Caitlin. We'll be hearing from Daniel and Caitlin a little bit later. Now, I don't know if we have any other board members that have just shown up here at the last minute. Uh, oh yeah, have Jackie. Jackie's here. Jackie Moray. Thank you, Jackie, for being here. You look lovely today, and glad you could join us. And so we'll certainly want to hear from other members of the board as we go along, and then from you. So what we thought we would do in this time is give a little history of where the Virtual World Society came from, and especially where we are in its evolution, because that will lead us to this HomeSpark project that we're going to unveil in a few minutes. Um, so as most of you probably know, I began my journey in virtual space in 1966. I was working for the Department of Defense. I was an officer in the Air Force, and my job was actually as a flight test engineer. And this is the actual airplane I was flying in as part of my job, this Phantom F4. And we were testing all kinds of equipment, flying, near the speed of sound and beyond the speed of sound, and flying in all kinds of different configurations and things like that. And it occurred to me along the way that this is an awful interface we have in cockpits. They're way complex, and we could do way better than that. So I started a journey to figure out how in the world can we get higher bandwidth to and from the brain of pilots, because it was clear that cockpit instrumentation we had with 300 switches and 75 displays and 11 switches on the control stick and 9 switches on the throttle, while you're trying to solve all these problems in your head, it's a very difficult situation. So I started working on new technologies that would promote this getting high bandwidth to the brain. And you see here in the early days, I started working on the way that we could actually take a head-up display, put it in a helmet so we can move it around and track where it is at all the time. And so you see the world's first helmet-mounted display here Lieutenant Fernandes is wearing, and then the first HAD tracking system. And this was in the early days, this was in the 60s where we were doing this. And then we put the two together into what we call a visually coupled system, where we projected the image on the visor, the helmet, and then you could see through it, or we could change the transmission to the visor and you would just see virtual reality. So there was a continuum all the way from augmented reality to virtual reality and back again. And we tracked where that was located all times using an infrared tracking system. This is all in an aircraft cockpit while this is all going on. And this eventually led, and as you see, 1981, my Darth Vader helmet, we were actually building a cockpit the pilot wears with visual, acoustic, tactile input, and where there would be a panorama of information projected in real time that you could either see through or you use that instead of seeing the world in various situations. Now, in the process of doing this, we discovered this was amazing technology. It was able to get bandwidth to and from the brain. Pilots were able to assimilate information extraordinarily rapidly compared to what they were able to do before, and it was easy to train, and they always remembered it, these situations. Well, what I did was then I left the military after 23 years, and beat my sword into a plowshare and became an academic professor at the University of Washington in Seattle. And then the miracle continued. That we went from one person in this lab to 120 people. We spun off 27 companies, two are traded on NASDAQ at a market cap of about $12 billion. And this was done with my students where we were working at how can we take this technology out to do things in medicine, education, in design, entertainment, because we knew the great power of the technology. And we did experiments in schools and hospitals, and found that, wow, we can use this as a non-pharma analgesic for pain. We can actually use it for teaching in a way that we've never been able to do before. The students that were normally uh, poor students in terms of grades actually caught up with the smart kids, and then when we test them later, they were better. So this was telling us that we're onto something really important in terms of a paradigm shift, the way we educate and learn and do our work. And then, of course, what happens is we have this coronavirus that shows up. That really pushes home that there are paradigm shifts that are going to happen in the terms of the way we move our bodies around in the world, because we find out we can actually do our work without having to move our bodies and actually get, in some cases, more work done. So, in the process of this 6 decades of work, we found that there were amazing things that we could do with virtual reality. And this is just a short list. Um, we could experience wonder in an unprecedented way. As soon as you put a headset on, a person who's never been in VR, it's profound, because what all they can say is their mouth drops open and say, wow. Now, probably all of you have had that experience yourself and with other people that you've interacted with. You know what happens. When I put my headset on, I become a kid again. I become so excited, and it's so fun. And we know that this helps you to be present anywhere. We've been doing this in this conference, and that you never forget it. Once you're in a virtual world, it's like going to Disneyland. You never forget going to Disneyland. You may forget watching a program about Disneyland, but you never forget when you go there. You never forget field trips when you're able to do those kinds of things. Also, this gives us an ability to put our eyes to get other perspectives. For example, I could put my eyes in your eyes so that I see what you see. I see what you're doing. I understand your perspective, what your life may be like. And that can expand my overall comprehension of the problems that are out there in the world. So what we see was with this new technology, it's like no other technology you've had before in terms of medium. It's like splitting the atom and enlisting so much power with how we can move our minds and spark imagination. Now, all during this time, I've been interested in not only the good use of of virtual reality, but how in the world could we be sort of the conscience of it? Because I was concerned that it could be misused. It could be used to make games of violence, where basically you practice killing people, and that's like you keep score. But when you do that in VR, it's entirely different than when you do it on a screen, because of the impact it has on your psyche, because you're intimate and up close with with these things that you do and practicing violence in there. So I decided we needed to have a group of people, a society of people that would actually develop the humanitarian uses of the technology. So that's what indeed led to the Virtual World Society. Now, this Virtual World Society you have see today is actually a reincarnation of one that started in 93. Started the first Virtual World Society in 93, but we're way too early because people didn't have access to technology. It took $500,000 to get a silicon graphics machine to actually render fast enough to where it was a decent experience. But now we started again in these latter days with a new Virtual World Society. What we're really trying to do is unlock intelligence, unlock minds, and link hearts to build a better world. Now, VR is one of the technologies. It's not the only one. AR and VR and XR, all these things. We're talking about how we can harness technology in general, but mainly people to actually see how much power they have and to get that out to build this better world. Now, When we organized the Virtual World Society, we had this plan of 4 stages. First stage was just to sort of get going. The second stage was start concentrating on a project. Third stage is to grow that into a worldwide thing and then a movement in stage 4. So where we are is actually finishing up stage 1. We did the startup, grow a membership, grow the team, people to do it, initiate some projects that prove that this will actually work out, start growing some partners beyond the Virtual World Society, like educators in VR we have here. Start getting funding in and plan for the future. So that's what we were trying to do in this stage 1. And indeed, we've succeeded. We organized in 2015 as a 501c3 nonprofit. We have over 1,000 members in the Virtual World Society. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And we've raised $500,000 to do these projects. Now, in the process, we've organized this amazing team. I mean, this is a dream team of people that have come together to have this happen. Jackie and as well was one of the early members of the board of directors. Now Daniel and Caitlin's on board. We have just amazing people that have come in with our team that we work every day with, advisors and so forth. So to add to this, we have our partners. You see educators in VR here, Black Technology Mentorship Program, the Girls STEAM Institute, Child Art Foundation, all of it, Make-A-Wish Foundation. All of these people are in it with us and wanting to work together, sharing our experiences. And this will lead hopefully to an alliance for good that Caitlin is working on at the moment. So when we take our partners and we add 4,000 more people, so we have a workforce of over 5,000 people who are interested in our mission and our value system and want to help Virtual World Society perform its mission to lift humanity. So what have we done this first stage? Well, we've done projects that have global reach. We've done some amazing research, and we've now extended out to families and communities. Let me just give you a few examples here. One is we just finished a wish, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I think most of you know what the Make-A-Wish Foundation is all about. The idea that these are critically ill children, and they have this wish. What is their big wish? The idea of this wish is to help them to cope with the challenges that they have in their lives, physical challenges they have in their life. So here we have Price, who just saved Seattle from these evil people, these evil robots who were trying to suck all the natural resources away from Seattle. So Price, you see his sword thing. He actually slayed these dragons in a virtual world that we created, Virtual World Society, along with some of our other partners in doing that. He told his father, and through tears, this was the best day in his life. Now he has something to look forward to because he has that at home. He has the whole system at home with other worlds that he can experience and so forth. And so we're working on these kinds of experiences for children. And it's amazing how we can turn around lives with this use of human energy and with the technology we have of our age. Probably many of you have been to our fireside chat. This is so fun. Here on this stage, if you want to call it a stage, and here in front of the fireplace and with you out there, we've had some fantastic folks come in. And we're going to have even more coming in this next year. And so be sure to tune in for that, because this is one of our things we want to do is recognize those people who are making these contributions. And another way we're doing that is with what we call our Next Prizes. The Next Prizes and the medallions. This is taking people in various walks of life, various ages, and recognizing the amazing contribution they're doing. Some are students, some are teenagers, some are old heads. Nevertheless, these are the people we want to recognize. We'll continue to recognize, and we're bringing that to the world. This is sort of like the Nobel Prize of VR. This is sort of the highest award, that can be given. And then have the project we did at the Robert E. Staff Middle School. This goes along with a lot of the research we've done, funded by National Science Foundation and other organizations, where we had sixth graders, 11, 12-year-old kids, actually building virtual worlds, teach STEM subjects to other sixth graders. And we had 28 of them in this experiment that we did. And it was amazing what they did. They built worlds, dealt with light, they worked with gravity, with scale and momentum. And again, they were transformed in the process of doing this. Let's face it, what we need to do as adults is provide access and then get out of the way because then the kids are going to do it. They learn so fast. Um, then I wanted to bring this up. We had sort of a foray into this whole notion of a learning living room and how we can actually bring the technology into homes and how it can make a difference. And one of the first families we worked with was the family of Barbara and Paul Gustafson. And they had a child on a autism spectrum scale. And this is what Barbara recently said. She said, VWS personally gave our family hope at a time that our son was struggling with some trauma that followed, and that thus allowed our family to connect again and build trust. And actually, Ryan was out with us at an AWE conference, their son, and uh, and with the family talk about what had been accomplished in their home. And this is just one example of what can happen. Okay, so as part of the phase one, we wanted to plan, or stage one, we will plan stage two. That's where we are right now. We wanted to create a focus project that will be sort of our flagship or our moonshot to really focus our energies where we could really do some good that is profoundly needed. We also wanted in the process to be a beacon for others, a beacon for industry, sort of a guide. Don't necessarily want to legislate or prescribe. We want to set an example. We want to be shepherds, where the shepherds lead others rather than being a sheep herder. We drive others. Unfortunately, this industry has been one in the push mode so long, and we want to be in the pull mode, where there's the pull of these applications, where and what we can do good in the world that makes the technology happen. And then with this funding, we want to come up with funding, donor funding, to help us achieve these goals. So, what we decided, so what are we going to do? Okay, here what is going to be our flagship project, and we realized, really there's a real problem with what's going on in the world and the way we teach, the way we learn. We expect children to come into a classroom who have all kinds of backgrounds, have all kinds of imagination, sit still, and the teacher, they open up their heads and the teacher pours in stuff. Now, teachers are great and wonderful. They want to, they're in the profession because they love the kids. They want to help, but they are so constrained by not only the numbers of kids are in the room, but by the standardized tests that are given and things like that. And what that does is put labels on these kids that tell them, well, you're not quite bright enough to be in this group. And the kids start believing that. And the teachers start believing that. In fact, there is absolutely no correlation between these standardized tests and the capability of a kid. There is no such thing as a dumb kid. And so what we want to do is, how can we build a flagship program that basically concentrated on these human superpowers, our powers of imagination, our powers to create, to learn, and to love. And we can't separate that out of education. It has to be in there. So where is that going to happen? Well, it is going to happen for a while, long while, in institutional education. The only place where it can happen is somewhere else. Because even with all of this technology that we have, all of these institutions of learning, primary, secondary, tertiary learning, we have a real problem. Because depending on what you see in the literature, anywhere from 40 to 80% of people nowadays are disengaged. This is young people and older people. What in the world is going on? So, um, so the old way is not working. This is sort of the why of what we're trying to do now with the HomeSpark project. The old way is not working. Schools are not keeping up with what's going on with the advance of technology. The skill sets are not being developed. There is a huge gap, the skills that people are going to need in this next 20 years because of the technology is happening. Not only virtual reality, but augmented, but AI and so forth. And so, how are we going to catch up? Well, it isn't going to happen to schools because they're so far behind. And when you go to the university, I'm a professor at the University of Washington. They go to school, they spend $100,000, $125,000, and by the time they get out, what they learn is obsolete. Well, the math isn't obsolete. It's probably going to be around for a while. A lot of the technology is obsolete. About the only thing we can do is teach them how to do analytical thinking. So then they have to transport their bodies to go to school. They spend a lot of money doing that. It's crazy in terms of how we're burning up the earth in order to move our bodies around, in order to put these things in our mind. So, old way is not working. And oh, by the way, those people are already in the workforce. 20 years from now, half of them aren't going to have jobs because things are happening so fast, be obsoleting those jobs. Where are they going to go back to school to learn? They can't. They're in the middle, they're raising their families or whatever. And they have mortgages to pay or whatever. No, they're going to get their education somewhere else. And that somewhere is not going to be going back to school. It's going to be in their homes that they get it. So the old way is not working. So what we really want to do is transform this. This is actually one of the students in the Robert E. Staff Middle School. She had just taken the headset off. First time she'd ever had VR experience. And there are just, there are thousands of these kind of pictures. And I wish you could hear what she said. We didn't put the video in here. But basically, all they could do is say, wow, it was incredible. And they wanted more and more. And then these same kids, a little bit after this, were building virtual worlds, teach sim subjects to others. The incredible power of this technology. So this has led us to concentration on the home, what we call HomeSpark. Now, the idea of HomeSpark is to make a center of learning in the home. Now, this isn't going to take the place of schools. This is going to certainly supplement schools. What it's going to do is teach us the skills we really need to know, and really use our superpowers as we go into these next 50 years. So this will be a center of learning that inspires and harnesses those human superpowers. Okay, now, how do we plan to do that? Well, we're the people to do it. We have the people. Here we are. We have them. We also have the know-how. I mean, we've been there, done that. I mean, in my case, there's maybe a little bit more than yours, but you still have that. You're learning all of this stuff as well. We have also the technology. Yeah, it can be better. It's going to be better, but it's good enough to get us started right now. And then now we have the plan. Let me tell you what the plan is. All right, we're going to start off and identify 100 homes. This is stage 2, sort of an experiment. We identify 100 homes worldwide. And those homes are going to be populated by kids, their parents, their grandparents, by individuals. It's not just all about families, it's about individuals. It is perpetual, it is lifelong. It's not intended to be just one, it's the whole family. So there's going to be geographic diversity in terms of being around the world, economic diversity. We're interested in poverty. We're interested in people who are affluent. It's going to be a combination of all these people. And age diversity, as I mentioned before, language diversity, different languages we're going to be dealing with and spoken and interacting. A lot of diversity from an ethnicity standpoint and accessibility. People who have disabilities. There's no reason why they can't come whole in VR. We have the technology to do that. So what are we going to do? Okay, we have these 100 families identified. First thing we do is with our membership, we will train our mentors. We will have an army of mentors, and they work one-on-one with these families. Custom mentoring to find out about them, learn about their particular situation, their what the ages of the kids are if they have kids. What are their economic status? All these kinds of things where there is someone they can rely on for onboarding, not only the technology, but what's going to happen after that. And then with that, we basically provide those 100 families with VR technology. This is not only headsets, this is also tablets and things like that, and how they all talk to each other. So you don't just have one person in a virtual world at a time. So they'll have the technology. This will be good technology, by the way. Then what we're going to do is provide them worlds. These are these worlds of wonder, of experiences. Now, some of these we will develop ourselves, having to do with health and well-being, having to do with adventure, having to do with astrobiology, all of these kinds of topics. These are places for them to learn and to grow in the process, and do that is with members of their immediate group and their families and so forth. We'll also curate worlds. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, so we'll have worlds that we are pulling from other people and adapting for the virtual World Society HomeSpark project. And then what happens? I was going to mention some of these worlds. What would these worlds be? Well, here's the one about scale again. What if you could scale yourself to an atom or to an ant? You walk on a soap bubble. Or what if you could actually make your interplanetary distance 10,000 light years? Now look at a galaxy. Pulls that galaxy apart in 3D. Amazing what we can learn and how we can comprehend things better in doing that. Another one would be a virtual forest, role playing, where you go in the forest with your friends and you become a tree. And then your friend becomes an earthworm. The other friend is a squirrel, and the other friend's a bird. And you begin to understand what a great, incredibly brilliant system that nature is, this ecosystem. And you have a whole different perspective for it than you would have if you even just and it won't take the place of going into a forest, real forest. But once you've become a tree and you go into real forest, wow, now you understand a lot more. You appreciate, grow in your love, affection for nature and what's been provided to us. Or bring it into your living room. With AR, you can actually host jungle in your home and the flora and the fauna that are there, and you nourish them, sort of like um, like Nakamuchi. I remember the game that you played with. That you had to feed your pet and things like that. A Tamaguchi, sorry, and or other ways for us to play in this environment. Play hide and seek with members of the family or friends in your own space and learn about horticulture and about agriculture, about plant life, and so forth. Or how about going to that refugee camp, looking through the eyes of those people that are there, or people who are struggling with a disability, or people that are a different age and have a problem with dementia. This will help you appreciate, build compassion, empathy for people who are different than you. So, in addition to the learning worlds, you say, okay, let's put it to work, what you've learned. Let's solve some problems. And we derive those problems from Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, all 17 of them. That they are related to those and local problems that people may have. But the whole issue is not, it's not just pushing education in, it's having fun learning and then putting it to work, solving problems. There's nothing like having that satisfaction of doing something like that. Now, we then take those families and connect them together, or those homes. Now it's not just you by yourself. You are working with someone on the other side of the world, or you're working on a cluster of your neighbors, like the Cherokee Nation, Navajo Nation, of which will be a component of the HomeSpark pilot project. And you learn from each other, you grow, and you swap skills. And in addition, you start building worlds because we teach all of these families how to build worlds themselves. That skill set. So they can take what's in their hearts, what their understanding is, and put it into a way of expressing that can be communicated to others. And in the end, these worlds are going to be unimaginable. It's going to be one of the emergent behaviors. We're going to learn so much from those worlds that are built. Can't even comprehend what will happen there. And then we have a repository, a great library in the sky of all those worlds as they grow. And then we put that library into a virtual campus. It becomes basically this interactive school of the future where all of these things can happen and grow, not only for kids, but for those adults who are going to be losing their jobs, those grandparents who want to interact with their kids, and for those individuals out there who just want to be good and do good. So, this is sort of the circle of the activities around those 100 homes. What happens then? Well, here we're going to fly around a little bit here, and then we're going to say, okay, so what? 2 years. What happens in the 2 year part of this project? We make a documentary. This documentary are the people themselves telling their story of what happened to them in this 2 year period. It's their words. We document that. They show their worlds they did, what happened to them individually, what they're doing now. We get that out to the world. Feature length documentary of what happened in this 2 year experiment. There will be other impacts of this. Certainly, we're looking for the solution to the problems out there, new thinking about these sustainable development goals. There will be personal transformation with new skill sets and a zest for learning, wanting to learn, wanting to understand, because there's this problem that's really pulling on you that you want to solve. There will be new leaders, new teachers that come out of that. As a matter of fact, we'll be recycling those folks that have been homes into as we expand the project. They become the new mentors, the new teachers. There will be a qualification for those jobs that I mentioned are going to happen this next 20-year period. They'll be able to do that, fill that void. And above all, a whole new pedagogy, a new way of learning, a new way of learning that that radically changes the way we're doing it now. Because the way we're doing it now maybe was okay in the past, but it's not for the future. You've got to change that. And that's what we're going to be able to articulate. What is that new pedagogy? How do we put it to work in a big way? Well, there's more to it than that. We have ways to measure this. It's not just say, this is apple pie and motherhood and it's going to be good. We have ways to put numbers on these things. Just think about it. With those different bubbles that went around the homes, we have this intimate contact with these families. We know what's going on with them. We will have their stories. We'll be able to measure their achievement in these virtual worlds. We will measure the worlds that they build, what's in this library, and we'll measure how they're collaborating. This is all evidence that we'll have in activity in the virtual campus and so forth, and those problems that are solved. Okay, so this is where we are now. We're kicking off this project. We've already doing some of the ground-based work on it. This is an invitation to you now to help us, become, to make this HomeSpark project work by becoming a founder member of this project. Our goal is by the end of June, raise $1 million. That may sound impossible, but I don't believe it is possible. This won't be, but that won't pay the cost of the whole project, but it will get us started. And then with that start, we'll have other avenues to get the rest of the money. Now, how can you help? Well, certainly, you want to join the Virtual World Society to begin with, if you're not a member, and become an active member. You can be a donor to help raise funding. Introduce us to people that will come to salons like this that we'll be having. Certainly, we want to keep you informed of what those are happening. We if we just looking at the numbers here, not not everyone has enough money to make a donation. That's okay. Donating time is good enough. But if we had 1,000 people donated $10 a month, 500 people $20 a month, 100 people $100 a month, 10 people at 1,000 a month, 5 people or 2,000 a month, and 4 people who are net worth individuals put in 100 grand each. Guess what? That's our $1 million. And there will be companies that want to contribute too. There'll be more in the second step of this that we're working on because they will say, wow, this is so cool. We've got to be a part of it. We want our name on this banner of the HomeSpark project. So, how do you become a member? You go to our website, virtualworldsociety.org, and click join. Simple. If you want to donate, see this block, this button, give. Then you can make your donation there. And again, every bit is appreciated. What is more important than anything else in the end game is really about people, about the team, about not only doing a great work, but having fun doing it and seeing the results that come from these kids. So one of the things that I want to leave with is that we're not done yet. So we finished stage 2 of this 2-year project, the HomeSpark project. We're also working on an alliance for good. I'm going to have Caitlin say a few minutes, something about this in a minute. That will be this beacon for industry, we're hoping, and we'll have the donor funding, as I mentioned. When we go to stage 3, we'll have the template for scaling this beyond 100 families to 1,000, 10,000 families. And then stage 4 is where we create a movement, a worldwide movement where individuals, families, homes show that we can work together in unity and oneness to help solve the problems that we have in our age. 10 years from now, if hopefully I'm still alive 10 years from now, uh, love to see 10 million families as subscribers of the HomeSpark project. And they would pay just $100 a year to be a subscriber. If you multiply these things together, you'll find out that's $1 billion. And by the way, we become then is like the National Geographic Society, the mind and of the heart. The National Geographic Society takes the outside world and brings it inside of us, doesn't it? What we want to do is the opposite. We want to take what's inside of us and take it out to the world. So that's our goal. Hopefully, we can do this together, build this whole new world together. So that's it. What I'd like is for Caitlin to say some things about our partners and about the Alliance for Good, and Daniel to talk about what we're unfolding in terms of these new folks that we're working with want to help us. Okay,
Sure.
Caitlin,
Yeah, thanks so much.
want to come up?
So let's see. How's my voice sounding? Pretty good?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was amazing just viewing it in here in this lovely room. I found myself thinking there's no emoji for awe. Like there's a heart and there's a happy face, but I wanted one that had a big O for the mouth and wide open. So I thought that was funny as I was looking around with the ways to react during this. Um, of course, it kind of it takes human form in life when we have different people involved, and I feel as if we're really at the beginning stages of this next phase that's going to grow really big in exciting ways. Gosh, so yeah, so the Alliance for Good, I won't say too much right now because I want to leave the time to the audience, but basically if you were able to come last week, um, Tom invited Britton Heller, Kent By, and myself, the three of us, to come on stage and have a roundtable about ethics and about ethics, particularly with XR and the stage that we're at right now. And VWS, a big part of the mission is to really gather best practices and use cases in terms of stories. And right now, as we map out a lot of the future of XR, the Alliance for Good has an aim to connect organizations, individuals, and really talk about what we believe in and how it plays out in the way that we approach our community building, our interaction design. So the Alliance for Good is parallel to a lot of the projects, including HomeSpark. And we're inviting different groups to be a part of it, to also dialogue and share considerations that are really important right now. So I was glad to have that conversation with Kent and Britton last week, and I'll be sharing more about the Alliance for Good as it comes in further development about ways that people can get involved. So yeah, thanks. That's a brief overview, and just happy to be here at this big launch phase of HomeSpark.
Thank you, Caitlin. And we'll be hearing more from Caitlin later on. There will be other salons and opportunities for you to hear from her toward the middle of June. Okay, Daniel,
Absolutely.
would you like to say some things?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. What a great crowd to be with. And Tom, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. These past few months working with the Virtual World Society has really opened my eyes to how much of a scale we can dare to operate at. And I want to thank you, Tom, for, I don't know, opening my eyes. Like we've been working at a scale that is formidable already, but to work alongside you and start talking about, you know, 1 million families, 10 million families, and not to kind of shy away from that ambition is really, really amazing. It's really amazing. And like you said, we can't do this alone. So we've been looking far and wide at all of the players, or many of the players in the space, to maybe identify some organizations in particular who we have very close fits with. And the larger project there is this Alliance for Good. But in particular, we've identified, for example, National Center for Families Learning, who are experts in engaging families. And we've just recently had another conversation with an organization who've made some of the apps that you love, that you know and love. We're not quite ready to announce that yet, but these people are serious players who, if we work with them, if we find a fit, it just amplifies what we're doing. So, you know, we specialize in one thing. We can't specialize in everything. So forming these partnerships with organizations who are doing their thing really well, but are a part of the puzzle. So exciting to consider that by assembling the puzzle at a bigger scale, we really stand a chance at pulling this off, Tom. And $1 million is no small matter. But looking back in 10 years, when this has really reached into the hearts and homes and families around the world, that'll have been the first small step on a long journey. So we can do this, and we can do that, and we can do it together.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daniel. It's wonderful to have you at my side, and also Caitlin. And I'd like to ask Jackie if you could come up. Jackie's been a long-term educator and friend and colleague on the board of directors of Virtual World Society. Just published an amazing book that's about some of the dynamics of education. Jackie, leave us. There she is. She's coming in there. She's re-venturing in. Are you turned on, Jackie?
I think maybe it's a stage blocker. It could be something with the stage blocker. I'm reading Jackie's mind.
Okay, you just stand there.
Yeah.
Okay, Jackie, you can just stay there if you want to and say something. Oh, it's not working. Okay. Okay. Well, if it here we go. All right. She's here. Sorry, I didn't give you a warning to get organized.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yay!
Loud and clear. Loud and
Yeah.
clear.
Wow. Well, it has been an honor to work with Tom and everybody else that is contributing to the Virtual World Society. But we need every one of you to be part of this and get involved somehow. We have so many ways for you to be involved. You can be mentors. You can learn to be a mentor if that's something you would like to do. You can help us recruit other members. You can help us recruit companies and donors so that we can actually see this dream come true. And that's the thing. We need everybody to be part of this. And it's not just a little organization. This is a global experience. This is going to be something that we hope will change the world for the better. Tom has had this dream for so long. We've all bought into it, and we just want to bring so many more people along with us to have this happen. So please do go to the website, click join, click donate if you can do that, and be part of this movement, be part of this change that's going to make the world a better place, that's going to give our kids so many more opportunities, that's going to help adults retrain for new jobs, that's going to just change the way we learn and think and be together. So that's about all I got to say. It's amazing, but it would be more amazing to have every one of you and every one of your friends come and join us. There's lots for everyone to do.
Thank you, Jackie. You're wonderful.
Mhm.
Thanks. Okay, well, with that, what we'll do is ask if you have any questions that we can try to answer for you from the audience.
There's still
By the way, what I'll do is I will ask the first question. Thanks, Laurel. But the one of the questions always comes up. Well, how do you select the family? It's really a good question. As it turns out, we work a lot with our partners for that. For example, Daniel mentioned the National Center for Families Learning. We're also working with the American, the American Indian Resource Center, with educators in VR, with the Black Technology Mentorship Program, with the Girls STEAM Institute. All of these organizations will help us identify families that may be local, may be global, for us to start working with. And again, we're looking for the diversity in that. So we do have a plan for identifying those families, and again, it may be more than 100, but that's the plan at least right now. Laurel.
Wonderful. All right. So I have my first question. Who are the mentors? What are the qualifications? How do people get involved?
Okay, certainly one of the first things we'd want to have happen is for you to indicate if you want to become a member, a mentor. And what we will do is interview individuals and then provide a sort of a short tutorial on how to do this and the kind of things we're looking for. We will draw upon the expertise we will get from the Black Technology Mentorship Program and the Girls STEAM Institute Mentorship Program. So we're not starting from scratch. These folks have been doing this in the past, but it will be you. It will be our members of the Virtual World Society and our partner organizations that become the mentors, educators in VR and others. So that's where we'll come up with the mentors.
All right. Beautiful. All right. First up is Jose. You're up.
Hello. Thank you, Tom,
Hello,
for the
Jose.
very interesting presentation. I'm Jose Ferrer. I'm part of Educators in VR of the XR Medical and Healthcare team. And this is very interesting. I'm based in Barcelona, and my question is it an international project or is it going to be only in America?
Oh, it's definitely international. As a matter of fact, Daniel, you see here, Daniel is spoke to us is in the UK, and
Yes.
we have one of our partners is also in the Netherlands, and we plan for this to be all over Europe. And so, are you volunteering to set up an activity in Barcelona?
Yay! His hand is up.
Yeah.
Yay! Hand is up. And
That
Okay,
must
you're
be
committing.
interesting. Yeah, it's not like I don't have a
Beautiful.
lot of things to do, but that sounds very interesting.
It does.
I'm surely going to
Excellent.
go into the website and get together with enjoy the team. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Well, also
Yay.
indicate there the things that you'd like to do. And you can send messages to us, email messages or whatever, and we can start a dialogue for that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. I love it. Shiva World, you have a question?
Hello, good evening. I'm from Germany. So it's nice meeting you, everyone. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask you a question. So other than virtual projects, is there any other projects which are in the real world? And this project seems to be very interesting for me. And also, is there any other opportunities if you need any help kind of associating some things or volunteering, I can do it in Germany for sure when I have spare time. And may I know about if there are any other projects which are in the real world? Is there any projects? I just want to know. It's my curiosity.
Any
Thanks for that,
projects?
Shiva. Yes,
You
I
just went
mean
through most of them.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean we have certainly the HomeSpark is a
Mhm,
project of the Virtual World Society. It's not the only project of the Virtual World Society, and we will be continuing
mhm,
our other projects as well.
mhm,
Um, but this is where we want to. This is going to be our flagship, where we get the momentum for stage two we need to really grow
mhm,
um, our influence and our mission. So there are all kinds of ways that you can get involved. Again, the best
mhm,
approach to take is to signal that interest in the areas where you would like to work when you go to
yeah.
the Virtual World Society website and join if you haven't joined already. And
Okay. Yeah.
furthermore, you can then communicate with us. If you look at our website, you can go to individuals and communicate with those individuals about your interests. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
if you're interested, we're interested. Um,
Yeah, I'm
hope
All
that
interested.
helps.
right.
Yeah.
All
Without
right.
any question.
Recruits. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Rami, you're next.
Ramy. Yeah. Hey,
Thank you
Ramy. Good
very
to see
much.
you.
Good to see you, Tom. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Um, I have something in my mind for us in virtual reality. We know how important it is. We know how good it is for everyone in the world. But I have the experience to show the device to my friends, my relatives, and all of them. And for them, most of them, the only one in the family, it's my device. The only thing they know is what I tell them. How to I mean, what I mean is not everyone knows how important it is, how good it is for all the world, not only the little percentage of people who know this. We are here, we get into the virtual worlds, we communicate, socialize, and everything. But
Hmm.
I would like to get involved people who doesn't even know what the virtual reality is, to do that and to present this wonderful project. It's it is hard to tell a person, you know what, could you help to this? And what is that? I have no
Hmm.
idea what you're talking about. So I would like to have, and I would like to find how to get to the people who don't know about this, involve those people in the project, and make it bigger, because it's not only for the people that to know that for us we see this wonderful, yes, but we are a very very low percentage of people in the world knowing about virtual reality. So I would like ideas. I have, this comes to my mind at this moment, but I
Hmm.
have no how we can get to the
Hmm.
rest of the people, the rest of the world. That's my
Could I
point.
Wow,
speak to
that's a
this?
Okay.
Could
that's
I
okay.
I just feel
Go ahead.
inspired by Rami's point, and also I realize we've been friends for 15 months, which probably tells me that it dated back to the first Educators in VR Summit. So, you know, a lot of us are coming back here to the table again saying, well, what's the next stage? How do we share? Um, and, you know, certainly I'm sure Tom and Daniel and other members of the team and Jackie, we have all kinds of ideas. What I've found is my first step in showing friends and colleagues is, of course, sharing my personal story. I think that the documentary is part of what is going to get the word out in a different way. Of course, we're considering accessibility, and I also want to emphasize that at least for me, it's a non-binary system. Like my VR experiences actually animate my physical world and vice versa. So when we talk about this HomeSpark program being something that impacts the home, um, you know, in development, we're really using a research team and best practices and talking about different ways that people can have experiences that will be some in headset and some that are more analog, and you know, gathering together to have a new kind of paradigm about approaching well-being and learning through the lifespan. So Rami, I know your question, it's so deep that I just wanted to speak, you know, from spur of the moment, just about what's intriguing to me about this proposition is that we're extending it to people, aiming to meet people where they're at, and also give more empowerment, more accessibility, more connection. So I'd be happy to keep talking with you about that. Thank you.
Perfect.
That was my thoughts.
And
Actually, I was
Tom,
thinking of doing something with the other uh, platforms, like the social platforms, even if it's a little video, which is viral, goes viral, something like TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, to show people what is this about, especially what it is, virtual reality. Many people don't even know the word. I know by experience, and I think all of us do that.
Absolutely. Keep sharing your story.
Yeah, I think that's true. And then certainly the things that we want to do is leverage that install base, because you're right. Of all the people in the world, only a fraction, small fraction, really know what this is all about. And as you know, you can't. It's one of those things you can't just tell people about it. They have to experience it themselves to understand what we're talking about. But what they can see is the result of it, even though they can't, that they may not have access to it. That's what the documentary will do. The documentary will show here's 100 people, 100 homes, you know, and this is what happened to us, and it can happen to you. So that's the way we see that we can get the message out, and it will take a while to get the install base there. But I agree that showing some of these small videos through your social network and can help a lot. Get the word out.
wonderful. And not to butt in between these two experts, but Educators in VR regularly has events that
Yes.
help educators and students and others to talk about how to evangelize. Marcia, did you have a question? You were up for a second. And then you were off the question queue. Marcia, did you have a question? There you go. Marcia's up.
I
You need. Oh,
listen
there
to
you go.
Rami, and
There. Yes. Now we
can
hear
you hear
you.
me?
Now we can.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Marcia. I was listening to Rami, and I'm a past educator in the real world. And I'm thinking if we could get enough projects in communities where there is a community center, where there's enough headsets that people like Rami can bring his family to that place, put the headsets on, and discover it. Therefore, they may go out and end up getting one and enhance their lives even more. A friend of mine here in AltSpace has built the most magnificent solar system. You all may know him. His name is Nico. And my thought was, as soon as I saw it, if schools had school districts, it doesn't have to be every school, but a school district has about 35 headsets that they can travel with and go to these different science classes and take them into these solar system worlds or scientific worlds or how to build worlds, anything that may enhance their education. It just has to fly. It has to fly.
Well,
Very
yes,
good.
and one of the members of the Educators in VR in the Virtual World Society of the part of the team is Dr. Angelina Dayton, the VR lady. If you haven't met her, you are missing out on a joy. And she carries around 20 or 30 headsets all through the Cherokee Nation district, school district, throws them in her trunk and drags them from school to school, doing exactly as you described. And there's so many out there that we need to also, that's a really good point. We need to honor the people that are out there that are already doing this
Mhm.
and learn from them as well,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right. And maybe one of the things we can do is along with our families that we've been talking about, we can do some community things as well, just like you've suggested. I believe that that is a golden opportunity, Marcia, and libraries too. Libraries are a good thing. We have a
Yes,
number of librarians who have been attending our firesides and things like that. Yeah.
absolutely. Libraries are a perfect place. Just like you go to a library now to use a computer,
Mhm.
you can go to a library and access
Mhm.
a headset,
Yes. Yeah.
but not for games.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. All right. We have one more question, and then we're going to drop the stage blocker and let Tom close it up. You can come and talk to him directly. So, Steph, are you there? You're up.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can
Yeah,
you hear
Steph.
me now? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everyone know I was about to make a comment on how we engage mass media in terms of the creative people that are most seen in our society culturally, which is like television producers, musicians, anyone that's in the public eye. And I just happened to look down, and there is going to be a segment on Sunday morning tomorrow on CBS News that is about traveling in VR by Mo Rocca. So we're going to get some national coverage tomorrow morning.
Oh.
So it might be
Nice.
a good idea to see what we can do about leveraging that too.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Beautiful. All right, Tom, you ready to take us out, my friend?
You bet. Well, thanks everyone for coming. This has been so wonderful. I feel it. I feel the, um, we have this spirit to us. I think of all of us want to do something, and we were confronted with these incredible, pervasive problems. But um, we can do it. We can solve them, especially if we work together and we have this oneness in doing that. So, thanks for attending. Let us know how you would like to participate. We want we're all a family in doing this. That's the only way I can put it. So thanks for Educators in VR and the partnership we've had with them with this universal conference. We're thankful for HP and their contribution and the other sponsors in it. And stand by to hear more. We'll be talking about this. It isn't going to go away. We will be talking about it probably every time we have a fireside, which is probably we'll have it every 2 weeks. Um, in this place is one of the places where it will happen as we go into the next year and so forth. So thank you, Laurel
Awesome. Oh, thank
and
you.
Donna, and all of the camera folks and those who made this possible for letting
Yes,
us do
thank
this.
you. All right. So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Tom Furness, absolutely amazing. Jackie, Caitlin, Daniel, everybody here for letting us be a part of this amazing announcement. And the HomeSpark project is it's not just groundbreaking. It is literally an earthquake, and I think that it's going to have tremendous rippling effects. So this is another universal experience as part of our conference in partnership and collaboration with Virtual World Society and Educators in VR, where we're bringing together these people, educators and innovators in immersive education to disrupt education around the world. I want to thank Tom and Caitlin and Jackie and Daniel and everyone, the Virtual World Society, for their amazing insights and to share your passions with us. And we're so excited about this. You know, Educators in VR, totally on board. And I want to thank all of our sponsors too. I'm going to go through this list quickly. This is done just because we ran over time, not out of fact that we just don't love them. HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Education. I want to thank our stellar sponsors, Grove XR, the VR Lady, Dr. Angelina Dayton, Frame VR, Learn Bright, LBX Immersive and Waking Dream XR. I want to remind everyone, please check out educatorsinvr.com for information on winning an HP Reverb G2 headset. Tomorrow morning is the deadline, so make sure you get in there. We're giving away 2 of them, coming right up in just less than a couple hours. Very less in Engage. So head over there very shortly. I also want to thank Donna McTaggart of Let's Meet in VR, the event manager and director for Educators in VR, the Univirtual Experience. Also, want to thank all of our volunteers, all of our moderators who give up their time and energy so beautifully to make sure that our events are a success. And end the video.